Hi everyone, good morning and welcome to Astro AWANI Links, a brand new webinar platform designed to enhance your experience. You're with me, Naila Huda. And before we begin, just a couple of hygiene points. We recommend that you shut down other audio and video tabs to clear up your bandwidth for a better experience. And should you experience any technical difficulties, you may exit the room and use the same link provided to rejoin at any given time. And we also may be running polls during the session. Please feel free to participate via the tabs on your screen. And if there is a major glitch that is experienced by a majority of the people in the room, we may also reset the entire system. But don't worry, just sit back and relax. You will be taken to a new room automatically. And we also thank you for your patience should we face any difficulties. And finally, we have a moderator standing by to answer your queries in the chat room. If you have a question you would like to ask the speakers, kindly mark your remark as a question and we may flash it up during the Q&A at the end of the session. And so we want to get straight into the topic at hand today. We are talking about how to do the right thing and how to steer your brain to positivity with me. And before we begin, we want to talk about, the current context right now. Times are tough and it might seem impossible to try and remain positive during a global pandemic. But the way I see things, in every crisis, there's room for opportunity, for change, and for growth. And now is actually the perfect time to re-examine the way we do things and the way we think about things. It's a good time to start afresh and perhaps transform the way we approach life altogether. But the first step towards change is always the hardest. Today, we'll be working together to find out together with experts and key industry figures to find out how rewiring our brains to think positive can actually help us achieve our goals. Before we begin, just to mention some interesting findings from the poll that we ran on our Instagram with about 2,500 to 3,000 respondents. Surprisingly, 2,700 respondents state that they're actually feeling positive at the moment despite facing a pandemic. And also in response to the question, should we be positive all the time? 2,941 respondents state yes, with 724 stating no. So it's clear that there's a lot of interest in trying to remain positive amidst all the uncertainties this year. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our panelists today. We have Dato Professor Dr. Muhaya Muhammad, transformational speaker and ophthalmologist. Also joining us today is Joanna Bessie, Head of Infinity Academy of Performing Arts and Creativity. So I'd like to invite in Prof. Muhaya and as well as Joanna to click on your camera buttons and your audio buttons to join in the discussion. Hi, thanks so much for
Hi.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, morning.
Right. So thinking positive is the issue at hand, right? And it may sound simple, but before we delve into the steps needed to rewire our brains to positivity, we should perhaps first try to understand the science behind it. So perhaps Prof.
Yes.
Muhaya can begin. What is the scientific explanation behind positive thinking and what does it actually do to our brains?
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, first, being a physician and a doctor and eye specialist, we must know that the eye is actually seeing what outside world and you have the inner world. So
Mm.
first, I want all of you to remember this. Our inner world creates or determine our outer world. And many people who are very stressed out because they allow what happened outside to affect what happened inside. Why
Mm.
do I say that? Because we must know human component. We have our IQ for thinking, but we have our physical for living, and we have our heart for feeling, and our soul for feeling to leave a legacy or sense of contribution. I want you to show the first slide. Yeah. So remember this word inner world. So if everyone watching here, just follow with me. You must see this. I think, then I feel, then I act, then I get. Your thinking and your feeling is your inner world. You think with your mind, you feel with your heart. For every thought that you think creates a feeling. So any negative thinking leads to negative feeling, leads to negative action. Of course, the result will be negative also. So how to change your result? Most people will look at the pandemic and say, oh my God, they get stressed out. No. Whatever happened outside, we just see as a feedback. Oh, why things are not so good? So I have to change the way I see things. And I want to show you later about how your emotion affect your body. Before that, allow me to just tell you about the formula. Next slide, please. When we say our inner world, our thinking and feeling. Now, I want all of you to say this. I have, I give. I give, I get. Meaning that whatever we are getting is a reflection of what we are giving. And what we are giving is a reflection of what we have inside us. That is your heart again. That is why, in order for us to try to be positive thinking, we can never be consistently positive if we don't have a beautiful heart. So I want to introduce to viewers out there, apart from just positive thinking, we need to introduce two more: positive thinking, positive feeling, positive motivation. Because if you just do positive thinking, you can be tired when things are not good. But feeling is a greater power in the world. We behave according to our feeling. Many people know things are not good. We know it's not good, but we still do because our heart says so. So focus on the feeling. But the topic today is good because we want to steer our brain to positivity. Another formula again. Next slide, please. You see the formula? Event is what happened to us, what happened outside. Plus, response is what happened within us, what we choose to feel and see and give the meaning to what happened. And these two, when you add together, give rise to the result, meaning our health, our wealth, our joy, prosperity, and all. So if you look at the formula, in order for us to have a positive result, no matter how negative the event, the response has to be very, very positive. And what is that response? Again, the way we think, we feel. Okay, next slide, please. I just showed, now this very important slide. This is the brain. The brain, when humans are formed, in fact, when life are formed, the first primitive animal, you see the red color, there's a reptilian brain. There's a reactive brain that we react without thinking. Then the middle part, the midbrain, is the limbic brain, your emotional brain. And the outer one that all of us are using to think, and as you watch me, you start to process information, is your neocortex for thinking. Believe me, in the midbrain, for everyone, there is a structure called the hypothalamus, which if we start to we see things outside, and we think positive, this hypothalamus will produce peptides that will affect the glands, that will go to the cells, and that cell will unfold or open the genetic material for positive expression, positive hormones. And science have shown that whenever you are happy and joyful, there are 4 important hormones that are secreted. I'll just go through them. They are called dopamine, hormones of motivation; oxytocin, you get it, you feel like hugging someone, or you get when you hold a baby or breastfeeding, have a lot of high oxytocin. And serotonin is a happy hormone that is elevated whenever you see kindness, you give kindness, and you get kindness. And endorphins is a happy hormones that is secreted whenever you are joyful, you laugh, and you exercise. And these endorphins make you become very clever. That's why teachers out there, don't be fierce, make your children joyful. Okay, now I just go to technical first, yeah? Once you see the brain, I want to show you, this is very important. Is everyone watching? Next slide, please. This one will tell all of you why you are where you are, why you feel the way you feel, why things are working out, why things are not working out. I was telling Joanna, being in creative industry, you're going to do well because I'm sure you're in a very high level. Okay, let's go to the lowest slide. The lowest slide, alpha point you call it. There is many kind of emotion. As you can see, there is fear, there is love, there is contracted, there is expanded. And as you see the color from red to purple, purple is the best, where you are like in the flow, the best in the flow. So if we have this pandemic or something happened to us, we are full of fear. The lowest emotion is shame. Whenever parents, if you say to your children, shame on you, you are killing, you are giving poison to your children's future. Stop doing that. Because anyone vibrating at shame, they are in a suffering mode. They become depression, they become anxiety. The next lower one is guilty. Please don't feel guilty. Whatever happened in the past is for you as a feedback to learn. The third one is apathy. You give up. I give up. I don't want to do anything. And the lower one also grief, full of grief, regret. And then fear. These are all very low frequency of 100 Hz and below. And you have desire, too much, they want too much worldly things. They want to be known, they want to be famous, they want to be rich, they want to be known. Very, very world driven. And the sixth one is anger. So anyone who's angry, you are not having a bright future. A
Mm.
bit lower, higher is pride, very arrogant. And higher again, slightly better as you listen to Astro Awani webinar always, you're going to go higher. You're going to become more of courage. That's when you're getting by. Notice the color. Red is suffering. And most people are in this getting by. They are courageous. They are neutral. They are willing. Okay, accept whatever, whatever. They just like that, you know. And then, but if you go higher, you put more love, you become love, you're in the flow. I don't have to know, everything expanded, Rizki is coming, opportunities come, suddenly you get all this opportunity. Then when you go to love, 500 hertz, joy, peace, enlightenment, that's when everything magic happen, magical life. And interestingly, do you know where is Hitler? Joanna, Hitler is at 39 hertz, very low.
Oh,
And where, yes. And where is Albert Einstein? He doesn't reach 500 love. He only is 499 because he's still with reason.
oh,
But where is Mother Teresa? She's at 700.
Wow.
oh.
Okay, so the aim, I hope, when you say positive thinking, we are going to be very smart. And let me show the slide. Can I have the video? Okay, just to show you how, whenever you have this emotion, it's going to affect your whole body. And I have the opportunity to operate on people's eyes after more than 10,000 eyes I've done surgery for to correct their power not to wear glasses. Can we have the video
Yeah.
where we show how the laser is going to affect your cornea? We have two patients. One patient is very calm. One patient is very panicky. Why I need to show this scientifically? Yeah, so this is the patient who is very calm. He's a 27-year-old boy, very good boy. And for the Muslim, he prays a salat on time, 5 times. Very, very good boy. Very calm, always smiling. And even when I put the speculum, he's so relaxed and open. Very relaxed, always smiling. And the words he said, oh, I'm so grateful I can do this. Okay, the
So what
words he
exactly are
speaks.
you doing to his eyes at this point?
Okay, now the contact lens is touching his cornea, the clear part. So I'm delivering laser. Can you see how smooth the laser? Within 16 seconds, we make a flat for us to open and correct the power. The eye surgery that takes this is only 3 minutes per eye, very fast. So this is this boy with who's very calm. He's only 27. Let's watch another patient who is 39, Naila. She's 39. She's a lady, but full of anxiety and panicky. Okay, we watch how the laser, when it passes through, the pattern is different. Why
Hmm.
do I show this slide? Because whenever a patient walk in, I look at the word that they say. If someone say I'm excited, the other one I'm panicking, the pattern is different. Okay,
Okay.
let's see this patient who is panicking. Watch. When the laser passes through, I want you to observe there's a white bubble there. Just watch this. Okay, starting now. They're just fixing on the light. You see? Can you see this white thing?
Hmm.
That shows as the laser passes through the tissue also irregular. The laser also not so regular. So when I do the flap, of course it's okay, but then it takes slightly longer, more stiff. So you can see
Oh,
all everything in life. Your emotion is number one. And you know what's the capital in our life? Your emotion. Whoever has unconditional love, you have it all. That's all I have to say. Go into the high level of unconditional love. And what must you do? Self love, self awareness, self acceptance. You have love, you give love, you get love. Life is magical. Okay.
Well, there's a lot to unpack there. You've mentioned a lot of interesting things. One, you managed to sneak in a little bit of advice for parents out there to stop instilling fear, to try not to be so fierce on kids. But I think that's a bit hard to implement, especially in our Asian culture. But I think a little bit goes a long way. And then it's very interesting how you said controlling our response towards unprecedented events is so relevant right now, especially during a pandemic. We can't control events that's outside our control, but what we can control is our emotions, and then at the same time controlling our response towards these events. And so we want to go towards Joanna, and how exactly have you been responding towards the unprecedented events of the past few months this year?
Yeah.
And if we look at how I mentioned regarding our poll on Instagram, around 2,700 respondents have stated that they're feeling positive despite this pandemic. So, how, Joanna, how exactly have you been feeling? How have you survived the MCO since March? Have you been able to stay positive?
Yeah, I mean, I think this has been a very, very challenging time. And I think I fluctuate. I go between being very stressed, I've had moments of total, panic and crying my eyes out, wondering what are we going to do. I've had a couple of those moments over the past few months. And but I've also had a lot of joy, a lot of change. And fortunately for myself, I work in the creative industries, I work in the performing arts, and the nature of our business is to adapt, to be creative, to be imaginative, and come up with new solutions all the time. So I think that has helped me to stay positive, to continuously create new ideas, continuously create new ideas of how to do what we do, and try them out and do them quickly. So I've not been at home kind of just pottering around and stressing out by myself. I've actually been working very hard from home with my colleagues, and we've been adapting and still trying to do what we normally do. So I think it's been a whirlwind of emotion, possibly. Luckily, in my nature of, I started with acting, so a lot of my performing arts training helped me a lot to stay positive. For example, relaxation techniques. How do you deal with stress? How do you deal with a lot of change? And in some ways, I'm so glad to hear that so many of your followers are, remaining positive, because in some ways it is an opportunity for improvement, for change, for developing new things, being inventive. And so for me, although it's been very stressful, it's also been extremely exciting, and something that I think if we seize the day, as it were, it can also be beneficial to make ourselves stronger for the long run once we get through this pandemic, which we will.
Definitely. And we're going to be delving deeper into how you incorporate positive thinking, being in the creative industry. I think there's a lot that we can unpack there, creative expression and positive thinking. And so I still find it rather surprising, how so many people have remained positive throughout this pandemic. And, if we reflect on the arts, Shakespeare produced some of his greatest works during a pandemic, King Lear, for example. So this is a perfect time for us to be creative, for us to fulfill our best potentials. And Prof. Muhaya, what do you make
Yes.
of this response? 82% of respondents stating that they're positive. Is it normal to find such positivity in the midst of this pandemic? And do you think that this perhaps reflect on the perseverance of our nation? Do you think that because we're in the recovery phase at the moment, people are ready to take a new step forward? What do you make of this?
Actually, the whole thing is a reset of how we do things. Before this, I think people are just working and working, not knowing why they do what they do. They have to do, they have to do. When
Mm.
we are actually put at home, the old people, they go and meditate and stay and start to think, tafakur.
Hmm.
That's what happened to all of us. When we start staying at home, you start looking at your own family, you spend more time with your private life. Because before this, most people are so busy with the public life. They have no time to work on their private life. And some people, even for the Muslim, even the secret life with their prayers with the Creator is not so good. So imagine, we know that the way we live, we have to take care with our life with our Creator first. Once we live well with ourselves, we're happy with ourselves, then we can have a good life with our private life. Then we are happy with our family, then we can happy with community. So while people are getting positive, they work from home. They see the children more often. The children are happier. The vibration, remember the graph that I show you? The shame, guilt, anger, all that occurs at work, isn't it, Joanna? I mean, for you are creative, but people who are working in the office, but for me, our clinic, our center, closed for 2 months. So I'm sure all my staff are just relaxing, not having to do so many surgery. But when they are at home, they have time to sit down and actually restructure things. I call it resetting of the mind, from living from just the mind to the heart-centered approach. And I congratulate, I'm sure your followers are young people, yeah, Huda?
Yeah.
Naila, they are young. So I'm so proud of the young people now. I think they are a bunch of people who sees more in this life, not just where they are very global. They know what's happening outside, and they are very intelligent. They are very optimistic. They know what they want. So it's a good way to go. And this positivity should be carried on. And this, I hope Astro Awani will take part of this to be mentioning this good news, because we don't want to let good news just with dollars and cents. But to me, emotional bank account is very important. Not just dollars
Mm.
bank account, emotional bank account. If we have more love in the country, more respect, more acknowledgement of and appreciating diversity, then more peace will come. So that's wonderful.
Yes, I think a very large emotional bank account, I think, will reflect on the economy itself. I think a happy community equals a happy economy as well. So that's definitely really important. Now, Joanna, how do you yourself have been practicing positive thinking? We were talking about how the you know creative expression gels really well with positive thinking, that it helps you keep in check with your emotions. I myself dabbled a little bit in theater while I was at university, and that
Wow.
really changed how I express myself, how I manage my thought process, and it also helped in a way with my confidence and my self-esteem. So, how do you see positive thinking, and how has it helped you personally being in the creative industry?
Yeah, I mean, it's very easy to fall into the trap of just reacting to the situation, and something terrible happens, or you feel upset by something, and you just react emotionally without thinking about it. So I think the great thing about like structured performing arts and expression is that you are consciously and creating a structure in which you can express and explore your emotion, like what you did in college, right, Naila? And I
Yeah.
think going through that process, you actually learn how to manage your emotion, you understand it better, you are able to experience emotion that other people experience that may not even be your own. And I think the more points of view that you're able to experience and to understand and have compassion for, the the happier you'll be, the more we talk about mental health. I think the performing arts is a fantastic place to really experience emotion and be okay with it. It's not something to be scared of, or it's part of being human. And therefore, sharing our stories with each other, this is part of what it means to be human. And I think for anyone who's out there, if you are, feeling stressed or low or anything, just listen to your favorite music. Read a poem out loud to your family, do something creative. It will automatically make you feel better because it's an expression of who we are as human beings. And I think anything in that direction, it definitely has helped me personally. So, I would like read storybooks with my son out loud and we act it out, at home. We do relaxation techniques, drama techniques where we like to breathing consciously. So we consciously breathe. And I think that has some scientific backing now for people with stress. They call it breathing in for 4, hold your breath for 7 counts, and then breathe out slowly through your mouth for 8 counts. But we've been doing this in the theatre and performing arts to have voice and breath control for centuries or, millennia now. So yeah, I think all of these things help us to remain positive, and more importantly, why is positive thinking important? Because it helps us to keep our mind clear and therefore open and receptive to new solutions and new ideas and new ways of doing things that may be, helpful for our survival in the long run.
Hmm. So you mentioned some technical tips on how exactly we can try to achieve a little bit of positivity in our
Yeah.
everyday breathing techniques and whatnot. And so, Prof.
Would you like to do some? Would you like to do some?
Yes, actually, yeah. Walk us through some of the breathing exercises that you do.
We'll do a quick one for everybody who's
Sure.
tuning in. Yeah, so you just take a deep breath. So you're breathing in deep into your diaphragm, into your stomach. So you take a deep breath in together, hold it, 2, 3, 4, and breathe out through your mouth slowly. 5, 6, 7, 8. And then you can do that on a hum if you need to use your voice and warm up your voice. You can go, maybe you're going to do a meeting like this for your work and you need to be clear with your voice. So us being able to communicate with each other is so important. We just breathe and hum. Try to get that vibration in your nose and forehead. And you could, a quick way to warm up, which I didn't do this morning, obviously, which why we can do now, is you can actually hum and kind of chew to get all this moving, all these motor skills moving. And you can make your voice go up and down. So you kind of go through the range of the sounds of your tones of voice, like and all of these things seem silly. They're a lot of fun, and they actually warm up your vocal instrument and help you to communicate with more clarity and to kind of just really check in and touch base with yourself and your own body, your own instrument, so that you feel a little bit more in control over yourself and your emotions. If you feel panicky or stressed, just take a moment to breathe. We do in acting to prepare ourselves to perform in front of live audience, thousands of people, or live television shows. We we actually physically warm up our body like athletes, and we stretch. You stretch out, deep breath and stretching. So you're really kind of taking back control over your body and your mind. You're creating a relaxation and clarity over this is like your instrument that you communicate with the world. This is how you communicate, with the world. So Prof. Mahaya was talking about your inner life. From your inner life, you have to express it out to other people so they understand you. And the vehicle is this physical body and voice, right? And your emotion. So yeah, never be afraid of that, I would say to people. Luckily, I work in an industry where I have to do that as part of the business of the industry. So that's helped me personally a lot.
Wow.
I think we forget that doing something physical can actually have an effect on the sort of less physical, on the inner aspect of our brains and our minds and souls. But perhaps, Prof. Muhaya, you might have a different
Yeah.
idea of,
Very
how
good.
you mentioned the hormones related to positivity. How do
Very
you
good.
break
Actually,
out of that negative habit? And I think you have a different idea of doing something quite physical as well to break out of that habit. Perhaps you can share with
okay.
our audience.
Let me tell you, interestingly, what Joanna did is what I teach all my patients to do before surgery. I will put them into this what I call that this 478 is a way to slow down your brain wave from beta. Beta is from 14 to 21 megahertz. It's fast. Like we're doing now, we are beta. But we go to alpha state, 478. Your brain wave slows down from 7 to 14 hertz, in which you are more receptive. You are able to be in touch more with yourself, and you're able, if you want something, you visualize in that state, and you can reprogram your subconscious mind, which determines your life. Do you know that children
Wow.
below the 7 years of age, they are naturally in the alpha, theta, delta brain wave, where their brain is so without any filter. Whatever you say goes into their mind, and it shapes their paradigm or blueprint or their worldview or how they see the world. So a child who has had a very good childhood, loving childhood, who give a lot of praise, acknowledgement, they see good example, they see things well, they hear things well, they good experience, they have a very, very solid, rock solid foundation of self-esteem and good view of the world. So when this one is just for the parents again. I'm very passionate about parenting because when I see patients, I know how their parents already. Sorry to say. Every time I see a panic patient, I don't ask, are your parents fierce? I say, who's the angry one? Father or mother? Father, Prof. Sure, without fail. So those parents out there, if you do not want to project your children in 20 years' time, having eye surgery, being panicky, stop being fierce, be more loving. Remember the curve. And Joanna, actually, this technique is very good. As you breathe, yeah, what you are doing is when you breathe in, you inhale. As you breathe in, your stomach goes out. Then you in diaphragmatic breathing, so you have a lot of oxygen, and this oxygen goes to your brain, increase all the good hormones. And believe me,
Mm.
we have two kind of hormones. Okay, that's why it's about addicted negativity, addicted positivity.
Mm.
People who are always put stress by the parents when they were young, their brain are used to the fluid that contains stress hormone, like cortisol, noradrenaline. All these toxic hormones will come out, and
Oh.
they are so used to negativity, they cannot help but, oh, what am I going to worry today? Who am I going to be angry with? What am I going to be fear today? We have to create that fearful thoughts. It's their words always. Risau lah, takut lah, tension lah. This is like their juice every day.
Oh.
That's why I always tell people, Joanna and Huda, Daila, when you talk a person, you can predict the future in 20 years. How
Mm.
is that? Because all of us are practicing. Whatever you do, as we are talking, as we smile, we are practicing smiling. As we gossip, we are practicing gossiping. So what you practice in the brain wise, neuroscience have shown that our brain is neuroplastic. You can create connection. Imagine we have 100 billion neurons, and one is a kingdom. And one neuron can connect with 20,000 other neurons. The
Wow.
possibilities. So there's no limit as to your ability. We have talent, but we can develop. We can do anything if we set our mind and we start to practice and make an intention. So whatever you think, remember this, when Joanna put, when you are stressed, the minute you breathe, you tone down your sympathetic nervous system, your fight and flight response, you go into your relaxing and repairing nervous system, then all the good hormones come out. Can you imagine the vibration of your cells from the low energy to the high energy? So instead of suffering or getting by, you go into magical living. If I say this,
Mm-mm.
people will not believe, but you all try today before you go to sleep. Start forgiving everyone. Do not have any grudge against anyone. Avoid three things in life. Don't be judgmental. Don't rationalize our bad action. And don't be defensive. See
Mm.
everyone with joy and have hope for everyone. And I always say these three things difficult to do. Number one is to defend the absence. If someone is gossiping, can we sort of protect them? Number two is to admit our mistake. Number three is to be kind to the unkind. Why I say these three principles? Because these are the three things that prevent us from being into positive thinking. You agree with me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
And
Professor, you're so wise. I love you. You're amazing. You are
Thank you.
amazing. I
Thank
thank
you.
you for all the this reminders and advice as well. Yeah.
I love your breathing. Yeah, that's the way. That's what exactly I do. And you know what I say to the patient when they breathe in, I do this. Under there's a laser machine, and I say the prayer. Then okay, now breathe. I breathe in strength and confidence. I breathe out tension and confusion. I breathe in
Mm.
positivity. I breathe out negativity. I breathe in health. I breathe out disease. I breathe in
Mm.
wealth. So you conscious. That's why the higher your awareness, the better. So we have to consciously be the observer to ourselves. That's why I do not watch much news, because I want to observe myself rather than watching others. It's better to be alone in your room and look at yourself. What have I done? Why do I do what I do? And what's working, what's not working.
yes. And now I think we've managed to get a lot of tips out of Prof. Maya and also with Joanna, some physical as well as some mental exercises that we can practice. And I think both of you touched a lot on how the MCO and the pandemic have sort of forced us to be at home, forced us to be alone in our thoughts, and forced us to reflect on ourselves. But now that we're in the recovery phase, we're back in civilization, we're back socializing. And I think for me, the way I see it, right? So we know all the tips, we know all the steps that we need to take in order to rewire our brains to positivity. But I think the first step is to want to change. How do we want to change? And perhaps maybe when we're alone in our thoughts, we can push ourselves, we can tell ourselves, yes, we want change, yes, we want positivity. But now that we're back in our circles, that may not necessarily have a positive impact on us, because our circles, whether we like it or not, will indirectly and directly affect and as well as change and dictate our thoughts and our wants and our needs and our goals. So now that we're back socializing with people, we're back in offices for some of us, how do we control then our circle, and how do we sort of stay consistent to the goals that we want to achieve, perhaps based on the reflection that we've done throughout the MCO, being alone and whatnot. So perhaps Joanna, you can start. Um,
Yeah.
Being in the creative industry does force you to be rather social. And so how do you maintain a healthy circle?
I think obviously people react negatively. That's going to happen. That is life. That is how humans are sometimes. But it's how we also choose to react to that. And obviously the negativity can roll into things like self-consciousness, lower self-esteem. It can even stop you from even taking action when action is really necessary for survival. So, for example, what I do with my students or my colleagues is I think positive feedback is really, really important to, everybody has shortcomings. Everyone is human. They will make mistakes. And this is how we learn and grow and be part of life. But we don't need to dwell on the bad stuff. We don't need to dwell on what we did wrong. We can acknowledge it. We're like, oh, yes, like Professor Maya said, admit it. Oh, yeah, I didn't do this right, or there's a better way to do this or that or the other. But also focus on what did I do right? Acknowledge and identify the positive. What did you do? What did you do that worked? What did you do that worked for not just yourself, but for the majority of your community, your family, the people around you, the planet Earth? Look at things in the bigger picture and acknowledge and identify what is positive. What did you do well? And I think the more you reinforce the positive and your positive ability, the more you identify and see and say it out loud, oh, I think that really works really, really well. That part may not have worked so well, but XYZ was really, really good, and keep focusing on those. This is kind of like how we teach in the performing arts, at least how I'm not in the old school way of very strict, where you had the old ballet madam who with a stick and threaten people, when I was small, some of the ballet schools I went to, they were like, so strict, and they threaten you with the rattan. I'm like in a different pedagogy. I believe in a different way of learning and teaching, and that is to reinforce and acknowledge and identify what are you doing well and correct and right. And when you keep focusing on those things, even if there are mistakes made, but don't focus so much on the mistake. You acknowledge the mistake happened, but you move forward and make it better. Keep focusing on the positive, and naturally the negative and the frequency of the mistakes will start to fall away, and you will grow in confidence. If we cut, like with my adult students in the performing arts classes, if I can't expect them to be fantastic, brilliant master actors overnight. So if I keep focusing on their flaws and saying how they're terrible and, oh, you'll never make it as an actor, and, forget about why are you in this class, if I keep speaking in those terms, they will never learn, and their self-esteem, their confidence will be completely crushed, and they'll never move forward. But if I go, hey, you did that particular line very, very well, and you're able to connect with the emotion of this character very well, or I focus on, we give the positive feedback, focusing on what was done right.
Yeah.
Then they build their confidence. Then when we work with children in underprivileged schools, we do speech and drama to help them with English. It's the same thing. I train all my trainers, and we have amazing teachers and coaches who go out to all these schools all over the country in rural areas. And these children are afraid to speak in English. They're afraid of being bullied. They're afraid that, they'll be shamed, like Professor Maya mentioned, shamed, blamed, made to feel smaller, lesser, right? So we coach them by saying, oh, that was very good. Oh, well done. And I think it's important to say that acknowledgement out loud every time something is good. And that just breeds more, Professor Mahaya mentioned vibrations. It does breed more better vibration, and you'll see the improvement. You'll see improvement in academic results, You'll see improvement in confidence.
Mhm.
You'll see improvement in expression and genuine connection between people. So yes, that's all I'll have to say about that. I could start talking forever.
Oh, I want to be your
You got
student.
a lot
Oh,
of
thank you.
You're
questions.
amazing.
On.
My God.
Before we move
I'm
into the Q&A session, just to hear Prof's response to that. So we can control our response and our
yeah.
thinking, but how can we control the thinking around us, the mentalities around us in our circle? Is that something that we can control? And can positivity be infectious?
Okay, remember this. We have circle of concern, circle of influence. There's so much big circle of concern, but we are influence only ourselves. But remember this prayer. Please, you say to God, please make me able to change what I can change and accept what I cannot change, and the wisdom to know which one is which. Okay, number one.
Mm.
Number two, if I ask you all, I am happy because the world is right,
Hmm.
or the world becomes right when I am happy. Okay? So
Hmm.
in other words, again, in the world, once you are happy, you see with eyes of appreciation, eyes of joy, eyes of love. Because whoever does not have love do not have life. And whoever does not have priority do not have life. So as Joanna said correctly, always focus on what is good, what you focus, expand. And just to take a bit of story, Joanna, there's a experiment by one organization. There are two
Uh-huh.
group of students with two groups of teachers. Or one teacher, one group of teacher, two group of students. So one group, they said this is a genius lot, this is a slow, retarded lot. For 3 months, they were teaching the students. You know what happened? They
What
actually
happened?
switch.
Oh,
The child who were genius were labeled as slow.
Hmm.
When the teacher looked at them as slow, they became slow. Performance not so good. The slow one, because the label, they watch with eyes of, oh, this is expectation, positive expectation, bright future, like you said just now. So the poor performing perform better.
wow.
And they have done a study in which a group of doctors, they want to make some diagnosis. Before they enter one group, one time they give a lollipop to make the doctors happy, which are not so good lollipop. I don't know why they give lollipop. So another time they're not given lollipop. And they find that the accuracy of diagnosis is better when they were given lollipop. In
Oh,
other words, your emotion is everything. Your emotion affects your brain to produce the hormones, and the hormones is bathing all the 100 trillion cells. Hormones are structures like postmen. They are produced somewhere to have effect elsewhere. They're posted out. So everything has to do with positive thinking, positive feeling, positive motivation. Ah, so I agree with you.
wow.
I want to be a student, okay?
Thank
Then
you. It's amazing to understand the science behind it as well.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes, yes.
thank
Right.
you.
That's so much that we got out of both of you guys. Thanks so much. And I think our audience really appreciated. And following from that, we've actually received quite a lot of questions. And I think we can
Okay.
move on to the Q&A
Yes,
section before we run out of time, as we expected. There's just so much to talk about, isn't it? So I think questions that are mostly related to what we've been talking about. This is actually perhaps a little bit different, and I think it's quite unexpected. This is a question from Ruxana, who says, what about those who are too positive, where they always end up being stepped on? As Prof. Muhaya said, be kind to the unkind. And I've
wow.
actually seen these kind of people. And this also relates to another question from Abby. I have a friend who seems to be overly positive, which almost seems delusional to me and my friends. How can we make him realize the reality of life? So there's a bit of concern with being too positive now and how to ground that with reality. Perhaps, Prof. Muhaya, you can begin.
This was said to me again and again for the past 10 years when I go on TV talking about this positive thinking. It has to see the way you see life. Some people live life as a victim. Life happened to me. Number two, life happened from me, egoistic. Oh, she got it because I gave her the money. I passed my exam because I'm so smart. Life happened from me. These are the egoistic people. But the third one is higher level thinking. I mean, maybe the young people find it difficult to understand. Wait till you become older, you have more wisdom. Life happened through me. You are just an instrument of God to give rahmah, to give good to others. So even if people are nasty to you, instead of reacting to them, you just see, oh my God, for me, like this, hurt person will hurt others. Okay, hurt child will hurt others, damaged child will damage others. That's why when I see someone who bully, instead of getting angry, Joanna, Naila, I feel pity for them. In other words, when you
Mm.
see people doing negative, you know they have such a bad outer world, inner world. That's why they act so bad and they are sure to get bad. And this inner world is from their parenting, their experience as a child. And we see all bad people as someone who is a 5-year-old wanting love and attention. Because there are two problems in the world. Most people say, I am not good enough. Number two, I'm not loved enough. And all bad behaviors stem from this and lack of self-confidence. That's why when people say delusional to be positive, no. Even if people are unkind to you, you give benefit of the doubt because we have God Almighty that will pay. Because no kindness will not be rewarded by God Almighty. So if your life is just horizontal, you and human only, then you have to be always responding, reacting, fighting. But if you know there's a higher power, whatever you do, any bad person come to you, if you are a good person, you become a teacher to the bad people. So a good person is a teacher to the bad people, and the bad people become a student to the good person. So you can
Mm.
either be a student and a teacher at any situation. So there's no such thing as delusional. What they were saying is that if someone go and you know this one or the swindle money you give, that is delusional. But if someone is shouting at you, do you want to shout back? No, you just forgive them anyway.
Hmm.
And you know, I have a full process. Do you want to know how to handle negativity? You want to know what to say when someone is nasty to you? Do you want to know?
Yes, please. Yes, please. I want to know.
Yes. Okay. If someone come to you, you know what? You look awful. Oh, is that so? Thank you for the feedback. You are horrible. Oh, really? You must be feeling horrible. So you want me to you want me to feel horrible, is it? I'm sorry, I don't check that in.
Hmm.
Nobody
Yeah, so
can
you don't
force
have
it.
to accept it, right? Yeah.
Don't accept
Yeah.
because if someone give
Yeah.
you a gift, you don't take it. You just don't respond. So they get it back.
You
So
can
full
Mm.
of compassion. Live with full of compassion. That's all, and love and respect.
and hopefully that infects other people as well. Now, moving on to the
Yes.
next question, I think Joanna is in the right position to answer this. This is a
Yeah.
question from, let's see, this is regarding confidence from Amelia. As an
Uh-huh.
adult, how to regain self confidence due to bad past experiences or unpleasant childhood? You work in the creative industry, so you must be dealing with your students who deal with a lot of confidence and self esteem issues. So, how can we help Amelia here?
Yeah. Well, thanks for your question, Amelia. I think that there, find a good moral conduct for your life that helps you. For myself personally, I found, I think you can read it for free online. It's called The Way to Happiness. And so it's like a common sense guide to life, or it could be your religion, your spirituality, something that helps you to feel better about how you would conduct yourself. And I think once you're able to do that, you're probably able to forgive a little bit about what's happened in the past,
Mm.
and note that you are not your past, and you are not the person who did whatever they did to make life miserable or to create suffering. You are not that person, and in fact, you are, you know, probably an amazing person. And so some of these, some people meditate, some people do breathing and so forth. But I think my best advice to young actors who I train, or in our corporate training, when people have to work in teams and communicate with each other, the ability to, as Professor Mahaya mentioned earlier, like being able to be over control of your inner life. So that's actually something you can do. You can actually actively exercise clearing your mind, relaxing your body, have a little bit of space for yourself, and breathe and just be conscious of where you are in the present. And know that in the present time, moment to moment, whatever has happened in the past is no longer happening now in reality. And therefore, you can see the world as it is now, which I think is very important, because a lot of us, I will do this all the time. Something will trigger me and I will fall into the past. And I will start reacting to the situation that's happening right now, which is actually not that bad, as if it's something terrible that's happened to me in the past. And I think what we have to do is recognize that that is no longer the case and take a look around. You know, during the MCO period where we were at home, I would go out for walks. I take my son out for walks outside, you know, within the safety, you know, the private compound of wherever it was safe to go. But looking outside and really being aware of where you are here and now. For actors, this is very important because if you play the same scene, same way in your mind in a past moment twice, the performance will be stale. It won't come across as truthful. It won't be as emotionally impactful for the audience. So in life, a similarity is take a moment for yourself to breathe, to clear your mind, to really look and observe what is happening truly around you here and now in the present. And let, if you can, as much as you can, exercise letting all of the other stuff go, you know, and be who you want to be today, you know, because everyone who lives around you and is connected to you now will definitely appreciate that massively. Yeah, so if you are able to be the bigger person, just let that all go. I know it's easier said than done, and I am not the best person in the world. Some subjects I'm better than others.
Yeah.
You know, at the moment I'm the sole provider for my family. So sometimes I feel like a lot of pressure on myself, and it will stress me out, and I will react in ways that I'm not proud of, right?
Yeah.
But we can just take a moment to breathe and move forward and realize that actually we're okay. You know, what can I do now to make it better?
Yeah.
I hope that helps you, and I hope that answers the question.
It helps. I think, yeah, in order to forgive others, you need to first forgive yourself and forgive all the other
That's right.
people in the past that have perhaps hurt you and changed you and made you who you are today, and make peace with that before you move on to forgiving others. And you talk about being at home with a new norm and there being a lot of pressure. This relates to the next question. It's rather long. It's a bit personal. Prof, I've become a volunteer counselor during the PKP, and I realized most of the clients were stressed because they couldn't control their emotions, watching their family members with actions that do not meet their perceptions. Again, what we said about how to control our circles, right? So they decided to be stressed instead of being happy, watching their family members in front of them. So, Prof, what was your idea to change their thinking and to be more positive staying at home with the new norms? And this is important, especially to those who have been fired. And so this is an example of an event that we cannot control with the current economic climate. A lot of people have lost their jobs. A lot of people are in very tricky positions right now. So how do they try to stay afloat despite these economic uncertainties?
Okay. Very important. I've taught this technique called a mirror exercise.
Mm.
Believe me, if we are not happy with ourselves, we cannot be happy with anyone.
Mm.
I believe all of you must say, I am responsible. I am responsible. When I am happy, I can make others happy. Happy people make others happy. You imagine you have a small wound, slight salt, oh, so painful. But if your skin is intact, I can put 1 kilogram of salt, you don't feel anything. That is how, when we are very unhappy inside, your energy vibration is low. If you are shame, you are guilt, you are anger, you are arrogant, you are all the negative emotion, of course, everything appears worse. But imagine, I just give an example. I give you all a presidential suite to go. You went in, suddenly you have a toothache. Can you enjoy? No. So life is about how you feel inside. So in order for you to handle people outside, do not try to change people. You have to change yourself, be the best version of yourself. And you can only
Mm.
be the best version of yourself if you are conscious. Look at yourself. Oh my God, I'm having such a negative emotion. Why am I addicted to negativity? Why am I not happy for others? So you must feel with two things. You must do every day. Make good decision, make good discipline. You want to focus on 2G. What is that? Gratefulness and giving. Remember this. Many people ask very top speaker, why? I know there's so much love, but why am I so sad? So this speaker said, hashtag life is not about me. The minute you start serving others, your sadness will go. Because remember the hormone serotonin? The
Mm-hmm.
hormone serotonin will be increased, elevated. You feel happy whenever you do good, you get good, you see good. So focus on giving. So when it comes to your family, if you look at them, they are being negative. You just look at them and smile and throw love. So every day, why don't I'm going to suggest one form of thinking for the Muslim after your salah. For the non-Muslim, you just sit down for a while, close your eyes and imagine God Almighty is giving love to you, and from your heart, send love to everyone. After that, you focus again. What am I grateful for today? About yourself, about whatever you have in the house, about your family. Then you imagine someone that you have to forgive. Imagine they're in front of you and forgive them. Say, I forgive you. I let you go. I understand you. I pray the best for you. Then you start envisioning what you want to be in 3 or 5 years' time. Have a good vision of yourself. Be in the alpha state. Breathe. Visualize what you want to be. Create a good mind movie of how your life is going to be. And remember, whatever you do, your goal must be to be in service of others. You don't want to become rich to wear all the branded stuff, show off Instagram. No, that's a nonsensical living. Your life is not what you
Yes.
get, but how much you touch people's life.
Yes.
Stop being all these cyber happy people and stop following Instagram. Believe me, I know many people. What they show on Instagram is really totally opposite. The
Yeah.
more you want to show you are happy, the less happy you are. Unhappy people will show their happiness. Not so rich people show that they are rich. Truly rich will never show they are rich. So life is not about me, life is about service. And there's a poem that says, I dreamt and slept that life is joy. I woke up and find that life is service. I give service, I find service is joy. So please, whoever is worried about whatever, remember for the Muslim, rizki comes from Allah, from God, not from your work. Your work is just act of service to please God. Once you do give value, God will remunerate you. So if you don't give value, you'll never get value. Remember, have, give, get. Whatever you do, remember three things. Be high integrity. Always treat others better than you want to be treated. And go the extra mile. Always give more than what you are paid for. And always think of giving. Be a giver. Givers always give.
Yes, that's
Thank
again
you.
to unpack that, and I think that hopefully helps to answer the question. How to reflect on ourselves and how to control from the inside out. But
Yes.
I think there's another technique to control or perhaps try to incorporate positivity from the outside in. And I think
Mm.
we've all heard the saying, fake it till you make it. How to fake happiness,
Ah,
fake confidence until you truly incorporate and feel it
yeah.
inside. And perhaps,
That's practicing.
yes, Joanna, maybe you've practiced this in your I myself, I think, tried to practice that a lot throughout my career since I was younger. How I faked my confidence until truly I felt it in my skin. So
Uh-huh.
this is the question from one Amira: is it okay to be fake in terms of positivity due to the process of acceptance? I think what she means is that until people around you start to accept this sense of positivity, until it has actually arrived. So in simpler terms, is it okay to fake it till you make it, Joanna?
Well, I think it's a really interesting. I think it depends on the circumstance of what you're talking about. I think maybe if by faking it you mean you're practicing and you're trying out and you're physicalizing the practice, like you would do in acting training or performing arts training, right? It's just like exercising your imagination or coming up with new creative ideas. You do need to exercise it like any other muscle for it to work. So yes, if you need to, you're not used to being positive, you're not used to looking at the positive side, and you feel like you're being fake when you first try it out, that's fine. That's just part of your process. It doesn't necessarily mean that it is fake. It's just you trying on something new. So when you do something new, when maybe you have to speak in public for the first time, it's not going to feel comfortable. It's going to feel downright awkward, uncomfortable. It might even be painful at first. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're not on the right path. It means you're making change. It means you're learning something new, and you're going more into the direction that you wish to be. So I think anything that does that is worthwhile.
Great. I think, yeah, I think it depends on the circumstances, and if it helps in your situation, then perhaps it's something that you can try. If it's something to, if it's so hard to try and create that sense of confidence and positivity in your mind, then perhaps putting yourself or forcing yourself in situations where you're forced to be confident and happy. Then from there, hopefully, it connects back to rewiring your brain towards positivity.
Yeah.
We want to move on to the next
I
question.
think, and also just to quickly finish answering that question, I think there are ways to, one of the techniques that we use in our corporate training at Infinity Academy is that we use elements in nature. And I actually even have nature exercises for the acting students as well to take inspiration, observe nature, take inspiration of nature. And then maybe if you have to act confident and you think, okay, in nature, I feel like confidence is like sunshine or radiating blue skies or beautiful sea, and that helps you to find a genuine way of being the thing you're seeking to be.
Yeah.
Then take inspiration from nature. Observe what's around you, and use that to help you to fake it till you make it. But then at least you'll feel like it's a genuine connection for yourself, not not too fake. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think we tend to
Yeah.
forget that our environments can really affect our thinking and that inspiration is everywhere around us. So we want to move on to the next question. So we've dealt with some people who, struggle with trying to be positive and happy. But in Dino Omar's case, he says, I know I am a positive person. That has always been one of the things that defines my actions and my approach in life. However, sometimes you cannot help but to find oneself in a toxic and negative environment, and it can be overwhelming. In such instances, what can I do to keep it together when neither walking away nor forcing the negative forces to change are options that are available? So, how can we change, or what can we do exactly about this environment? Perhaps Prof can answer this, and then we'll move on to Joanna.
Very good. So if you cannot change the things that you see, change the way you see that thing.
Mm.
You got the word?
Yeah, this goes back to what you it goes back to what you said about event
Yeah,
and response. You
event.
control the
That's
event,
right.
you can control your
Number
response.
two, okay, I think I want to give these 5 steps to everyone to transform your life, because I think this 5 step will answer whatever question that is going to come. Okay? Do you want to learn that? The
Yes,
5 steps
Yes.
of transformation. You have this 5 step, it works for everything. Okay,
Okay. I've got my pen ready. I'm ready.
same.
that's
Good
right.
to go.
Okay, okay. So now, whoever is watching, you already know at the energy level, maybe you're guilty, you're shameful, whatever. You already audit yourself. Okay. So you have five components of our life. First, our health. You know your health set. You know your mindset. You know your heart set. You know your soul set, your connection to God, and your relationship with others. 5 steps, which I put in my Pentagon 5 pentagon in my prom wire circle. That's why I made this prom wire circle, because we have to have a circle that is going to be the nice for positivity and explode the nation. Explode the nation. So in order to change, you must undergo first step. Number one, change your self-identity or change your identity. Start from now. I am, say what? I'm a loving, joyful. It's not fake it till you make it. Practice it till you make it. Don't use the word fake. It's
Yes,
already.
Mm.
that's the right
Your
word.
wiring.
Practice.
Practice it
Practice.
till you make
Yes,
it.
yes.
Not just practice, perfect practice. Okay, so change your identity. So health wise, emotion wise, if you think you're a very toxic person, I'm loving. So change your identity in your mind. Number two, change your belief system. This is something that your parents have put into you. You have to change your belief. There are many limiting beliefs. You must have empowering belief. Your belief about the world. So that's what Einstein said. The only decision we make every day, you ask yourself, is this a friendly or nasty universe? Say this is a friendly universe. Everyone is kind. It's just that they don't know how to be kind and they forgot to be kind. That's all. Everyone is good. There's no baby who are born, I want to be a nasty person. No, all children are born good.
Yeah.
Okay, see everyone, even the nasty one, Joanna. If I see someone very nasty, I just look at them and shrink them to a 5-year-old boy or girl. Then I'll not be angry with them. Okay, you
Oh,
won't think for love. So nasty people wants attention actually. They are not good enough or
yes,
not love enough.
yes.
They are
Joanna,
very
how
damaged
should I
children. Yeah.
Sorry, Joanna, how is it like being in the creative industry where I think the perception or the assumption that people have is, it's a very toxic environment. You have to deal with very harsh critics, and there's a lot of negativity, backstabbing. I mean, that is just the perception. It might not be true. But how do you deal with that kind of environment where your critics can just be so outspoken? How do you control the environment around you?
I think it's more in you can control how you react to it, right? So when I was a younger actress, people would get jealous. I didn't understand what are they jealous about. Like, I don't get it, and like why they want to like criticize and put you down, and for what? Like I genuinely didn't understand where they were coming from, or sometimes that might happen, right? So I would react. And I'll be like, oh, and I'll protest. I'll be protesting. I'll reacting. I'll be, like advocating. We shouldn't be like this and blah blah blah. I'm wasting a lot of my time and energy, honestly, because because I can change myself. So, but I can't necessarily change others. I can help others. I can be in service to others, but I can't ultimately change them. But I can empower, like, change my belief system myself, like Professor Mahaya mentioned. I can change my self identity. So I think as I matured, I realized like, oh, I can I can just change the way I react to this particular situation and let it flow over and through me and just understand that that person is reacting due to circumstances and their past. I have no idea why they're acting that way, and I don't need to know why. They're just being that way,
Mm.
and actually it doesn't need to be relevant to me and the work I do or how I want to move forward in life. I still keep doing what I need to do. Yeah, because those kinds of things are always going to happen. So it's just like, how do you respond?
Mm.
You can choose to move forward and acknowledge that, okay, that person's like that, or that person says like this. I can even make it known, I don't want to, maybe I don't necessarily support that person as much as I would have, right? I can make choices like that what I'm getting control in on myself. And I think if you keep moving in that direction and that positive direction, even if it's baby steps, you make a little plan every day and you have like, okay, I'm going to do this, this, this. And those are things that you can achieve, that you feel good about and make you feel like you're being productive, even if it's a tiny thing. At least it's a step in the right direction as opposed to nothing and no direction. Yeah.
I think that seems to be the central theme here, not being able to control your surrounding, especially during this pandemic. A lot of things that are outside of our control, but what we can control
Right.
is our response and our reaction towards it. And sorry, Prof, I think you're in the middle of going through some points there. You
It's
said
okay. Just short time.
step one is to
Actually,
change
it'll
your
be a
identity.
point number three. Point number three,
Okay.
Prof.
Yes, let's move on to the rest
Yeah.
of the
So,
points before we wrap things up.
okay. Point number 3 is your capability or your skill to do something. For example, if you want to be healthy, you must learn the technique how to be healthy, avoid white sugar, avoid white rice, avoid white flour, all the good health thing. So you must find knowledge, and that's why you buy books and everything. So once you undergo your identity, you change your belief system, you get your knowledge, capability building by go to training with Joanna for acting or something. Then the fourth one only, then only can change your behavior. So what I notice, most parents, most teachers, most every organization, they want the staff to change their behavior, but they do not go to the first, second, and third.
Mm.
So we judge people based on the behavior because they don't know how. Then the fifth one, of course, maintain a good circle. Be in a good circle, because imagine if you are in a circle of people with love and respect. Can you imagine the vibration in the room?
Yeah.
Right now, we're feeling positive vibes already. I mean, all your audience are all very positive people. That's why we have this flood of ideas coming to us to tell them. Because when you are vibrating high, you have a lot of risky. So these are the 5 steps of levels of transformation. Change your identity to a better person. You want to be a better version of you. And it's all
Mm.
starts to loving yourself and loving others
Just
and
to wrap things
respect.
up for everybody. So that's step one, change your identity. Step two, change your belief system. Step three, having the capability and skill to do something. Step four, change your behavior. And step five, to maintain a good circle.
Circle.
These are up here now. We prepared a slide actually for you to take down some notes. I think that really just perfectly encapsulates everything that we managed to talk about within the span of 1 hour. And we actually added 10 minutes onto our webinar, our workshop today, just because I think the energy was so good this morning. And I think everybody really appreciated the conversation we had. Pun Guzali said, I felt rejuvenated by this webinar. Thanks a lot, Prof.
Oh,
And I have to say the same thing as well. I learned a lot. I think we all learned a lot today, and the energy was just really infectious, perfectly encapsulating what you said. When we're happy, it indirectly and directly infects other people as well. And I think even from the start, even from the get-go, we came into this conversation with so many ideas. We came in here all coincidentally dressed in red as well.
Yes.
We're all on the
yeah.
same wavelength here, so this is really nice. So thank you so much,
Thank you so much
to
for the
all the
opportunity.
audience, all the participants in our workshop today. And of course, thank you so much to our panelists today. We have Dato Professor Dr. Muhaya Muhammad, transformational speaker and ophthalmologist, and Joanna Bessie, head of Infinity Academy of Performing Arts and Creativity. I hope everyone managed to leave this workshop today having learned a thing or two. And you can also rewatch the workshop if you need to go back and take down some of the notes, plenty of notes, in fact, from Joanna and Prof. Muhaya today. So thank you so much. That wraps
Thank
up our
you.
workshop today. Thank you so much for joining me, Naila, Huda, and
Thank you.
hopefully we'll see you guys
Thank you,
again
Joanna. Nice meeting you.
here.
Love
Thanks so
your
much, and
family.
everyone.